Well, hey, folks, as we head right to the top of the hour, our next presenter is Advancing Ag Literacy Through True Life Ag Stories. Really excited to finish out on this one from Colorado. We're joined by the Executive Director of the Colorado Ag in the Classroom program, Jennifer Sharp. She's here to talk about True Life Ag Stories and what they've got going on in Colorado. I will post her presentation online as well, but she's also got the QR code for you there. So again, welcome to the Virtual National Agriculture in the Classroom Conference. This conference sponsored by NAITCO, but also our friends at CHS and BASF. We are indebted to their support to bring this to you. Glad to have a number of teachers still joining with us today. So Jennifer, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. And I'm happy to be here and actually presented for my first time at a National Ag in the Classroom conference this year. So I was quite tickled to have one of my sessions chosen for this virtual conference. And I'm really excited to share with you all the books that we have developed for our literacy project. One quick clarification, my last name is pronounced Sharpie. It's a common thing that most people miss. If there's a C, you pronounce the E. I don't know why. If there's no C, you don't pronounce the E. I think it's a German thing. But so I am, as Kevin said, the Executive Director of the Colorado Agriculture in the Classroom. We are an independent nonprofit organization. So I have to fundraise for our entire budget, and I work out of my home office. We do have two part-time staff people. One is 30 hours a week and one is 5 hours a week. They live on opposite ends of the state, which actually is kind of great. And both of them are currently leading one of our summer ag institutes down in the San Luis Valley. And they're the ones that put in sort of the hard labor hours for this project. And I want to make sure that that we recognize them. But as a program, we roughly reach or have actively engaged about 100,000 teachers and students per year that are actively using our resources and multiple copies or multiple uses of our varying resources. But that's kind of what we reach in a broad spectrum of urban, suburban, and rural communities. Let me. So just at that dashboard link, there's a session dashboard. It takes you to a Google Doc, and it has a link to the slides as well as links to all of our books and where you can order them and all sorts of great information that way. So first, just a quick overview. Colorado agriculture is very diverse. This is a map from our Department of Agriculture that shows the diversity of commodities that Colorado does produce. Agriculture is Colorado's second leading industry behind manufacturing. Our largest ag product is beef cattle and calves. We do actually rank 5th in peach production, which many people wouldn't realize, but those delicious Palisade peaches, maybe if you have a Lions group or a local community organization that gets peaches from Colorado, they come from Palisade, which is over here in this Mesa area, county area. Colorado ranks 2nd in sheep production, sheep and lamb production, 4th in wool production. And I don't know if there's any New Mexico folks on with us today, but Pueblo chilies, Pueblo green chilies are far superior to New Mexico hatch chilies. So I'm going to talk about our literacy project, which most states do have a literacy project of some form. And this is where the state is going to select a book. Sometimes they're the American Farm Bureau Foundation for Agriculture book. Sometimes they're other books, but they're going to select a book, send it out either through volunteers or directly to your classroom, and generally include a lesson or an activity, and then some sort of little like a packet of seeds or something else with that. And that's how our project started as well in 2013. And then we began publishing our first book in 2021. And again, it began as a read aloud book program. It has morphed into now what I'm calling a KIT program. And as we look at towards next year, 2025's project, it will be a monster. But the goal really is to teach agriculture and foster a love of learning and a love of reading and literacy by sharing true life agriculture stories. So as you look at, this diversity of Colorado agriculture, there's a lot of great people behind these commodities who have been very innovative and impactful, not only in the state, but on a national level. And so we want to tell those stories, and that's what we are doing through our literacy project. These stories are applicable anywhere. So we really focus on the story first, and they just so happen to relate to Colorado. But in some cases, you won't even find the word Colorado in the book itself. But the story is a Colorado person, or the illustrations are also originally from Colorado 40 photos. So that was really important to us, that it's about the story first, and that students can see themselves in the story. So we've been writing our own books for 4 years, and you can see the different topics and the different books that we have written. We will walk through all of these today. And with the Still Good book was our first one. It's a kind of a historic look at agriculture. For our first book that had the Colorado Ag in the Classroom logo on it, I didn't want it to be focused on one commodity, just because we do want to represent all of agriculture or as much of agriculture as we can. And then in researching that book, it led to the story of our peach book and that story. And then we did sheep and grazing in a Colorado forest. And last year we did Pueblo chilies. And if you follow us on Facebook or social media, we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. You've probably maybe seen some of our coverage or some of our posts about these projects. And we encourage you to, of course, follow us on social media, and you'll get a good idea of what we're doing here. But you can also see the reach. So starting in 2021, reaching just over 2,500 students and just shy of 150 classes. Of course, this was still in the COVID era time, or COVID time, and a lot of that was done virtually. And then this last year, we reached over 23,000 students and over 1,100 classes. So it really grew, and we're excited. And next year's project, we're looking to reach about 50,000. So I do have trivia throughout this presentation. I think I have 6 of them. You can scan that QR code, and it's going to take you to a jot form. And I'll post the question here, but the question is on that jot form. And then if you just want to provide your cell phone number, then I will send you all of the correct answers will be entered into a drawing to win a free copy of one of our books. So here is the first question. What is the name of the substance that gives peppers their spiciness? So I'll give everyone just a few seconds to get in there and answer that question. Got a couple coming in. Okay. Hopefully, if you haven't scanned it yet, scan it now. Or I'm going to cover it up. Oh, I got to go back. So that answer is capsaicin, is the answer that gives peppers their spiciness. So our first book is Seed Sprout Spice, all about Pueblo chilies. This was the book we did in 2024. And the link in here will take you to the Google slide pages of that book, or else we are going to have our author just read us the story.
Hi, my name is Rachel Alna, and I wrote this book, Seed Sprout Spice, all about Pueblo chilies. Pueblo chilies are special to me because I have family that grows this unique Colorado crop. Seed Sprout Spice, all about Pueblo chilies. In the southern part of the state, there's a pepper that's really great. The Pueblo chili is the name. It deserves its own claim to fame. In the fertile soil of Pueblo, Colorado, a CSU extension agent is whose story we begin to follow. A researcher at Colorado State University, he began selecting plants for breeding quality. Saving pepper seeds from his family farm, he chose peppers that eventually led to the one with the Colorado charm. The peppers themselves reach up and point to the thing that warms everyone. Mirasol, this variety is called, which means looks toward the sun. He continued to select peppers that had bigger pods and a thicker meat. These are qualities that lead to better roasting, which you just can't beat. Not only are Pueblo chilies a good crop to grow, but they are an integral part of the culture, especially in Pueblo. These unique chilies are the thread that weaves together communities, unifying a quilt of different ethnicities. No matter where you live or who you are, food brings us together, near or far. The Scoville heat scale tells us just how spicy. Knowing this will help you find a recipe that fits nicely. How much capsaicin in a pepper indicates how hot it will be to eat. Variety is the spice of life and what makes it so neat. In the store or the fields, you may see peppers red or green. Red peppers are green peppers, just more ripened is all it means. If the pepper is red, its sugar content is more. Yum, go on, have yourself 4. Planted in April, the seed turns into a sprout, and then a month or 2 later, a pepper grows out. Sowed in the fields as transplants or seeds, the farmers watch, care, and get rid of the weeds. Busy throughout the year, disking, fertilizing, and cultivating, true stewards of our land, watching over and caretaking. As summer sets in and the sun gets hotter, Pueblo chilies grow thanks to the Arkansas River water. For 1 acre of Pueblo chili pepper plants to grow, 1 million gallons of irrigation water must flow. Sprinklers or siphon tubes are used as the watering tool, letting peppers grow into food that makes us drool. Come fall, the peppers are ready to pick, one by one, a task that isn't done quick. Many thanks to those who pick peppers and spend all day on their feet. This vegetable must be picked by hand for us to have as a treat. The growing season comes to an end with the frost and the cold. Farmers return nutrients to the ground, revitalizing it into fertile gold. The health of the soil is good for the field and will help next year's crops and yield. Fall brings the mouth-watering aroma of peppers roasting. The thicker walls of the Pueblo chili make them ideal for this, we are boasting. We're Colorado proud of this special crop we want to nurture. And now we know Pueblo chilies have a past, present, and flavorful future. The end.
So that's our Pueblo chili book, and I didn't realize how crazy Coloradans get about Pueblo chili. I originally grew up in Minnesota and moved to Colorado 15 years ago, but they are crazy about Pueblo chilies. And they're grown in Pueblo, Colorado, kind of in along the I-25 corridor, but south of Denver, south of Colorado Springs. Dr. Bartolo, Dr. Michael Bartolo, who was mentioned earlier in the book, is the man who invented Pueblo chilies. He's a Colorado State University extension researcher and really cultivated this crop. one of the things that the students really picked up on with this book was that Pueblo chilies are actually picked by hand. And so it was kind of neat. They learned a lot about the cultivation of the crop from the book. Let me. So our publishing team, Rachel Onlund is the author. She is actually a kindergarten teacher, so has great ties that way, great ties to education. McCall Connect, who's in the center here, is our publisher. She put the book together and took care of publishing. We are not in the book publication business, but these books are specifically written for us. And then Sierra Linky is the illustrator, and these three ladies are all our family. So McCall and Rachel are our sisters, and Sierra is their cousin, and Sierra works in as a speech therapist in the Moffat School District up in Craig. So great ties to education. And then McCall actually grows Pueblo chilies with her husband's family in Pueblo. So that's where that great connection comes from. I mentioned that this has morphed into a kit program. These are the kits that we sent to elementary teachers or elementary classes, and we had some middle and high school as well, but it's primarily targeted to elementary, so they get a free copy of the book. They got frozen Pueblo chilies, which we purchased about 950 pounds of Pueblo chilies and sent about half of those through the mail, and only 8 packages did not survive the postage. So that's pretty good. Little tasting cups. And then we also partnered with a Pueblo seed and food company out of Cortez, Colorado, down in the southwest corner of Colorado, to purchase Pueblo chili seeds. And each student got 2 seeds, a peat pellet, a plastic cup, and lid to be able to grow their own Pueblo chili plant. And then we had 8 different research pages and a post visit, or 8 different resource activity pages, and then a post visit survey. So we had enough supplies for all students to plant their own Pueblo chili plant and grow their own Pueblo chili seed, or eat Pueblo chilies. And we had teachers with a lot of creativity in how they planted those seeds. Some did them in the cup, some did them in their hydroponics or their aquaponics, set up in their classroom. We had worked with a lot of STEM coordinators, so then they were able to do experiments across different ways of growing those Pueblo chili seeds. We also, so the tasting experience, and in the book is the recipe for the Pueblo chili tortilla pinwheels. And if you were with us in Utah, we actually served you some Pueblo chili pinwheels, but here's the recipe of how you can make them. They're much better with Pueblo chilies than they are with hatch chilies, but whatever, that's our claim to fame. And then there's a tasting activity workshop, or worksheet, so they use their senses then to describe what they're tasting. And they can't just say they can say they don't like it, but they then need to say why they don't like it. Some photos of students then tasting the chilies, and some teachers just put the chilies in the tasting cup and let the students taste either plain or with a tortilla chip. We left it up to the teachers to decide what was best for them. We partnered with History Colorado, and they produced a virtual field trip video for us on the history of the chili pepper, as well as the Pueblo chili. And this is available on our YouTube channel. We won't have time to play it here today, but it was a great partnership that we are looking to continue further down the road. So it still has some great social studies connections. And then this is the list of all the resources. So they're all available on our website. So besides the tasting and the seed planting activity, we had a poster contest, the virtual field trip, and then we had that sort of fun facts about Pueblo chilies with some photos of Pueblo chilies growing in production throughout the summer. And then History Colorado also provided us with 3 historic chili recipes, which were fun. We had a nutrition activity, we had a math activity, vocabulary crossword, and then a Ristra activity. So we provided them with a blank pepper plant or pepper outline that they could print off for all their students. Their students could color it in and then cut it out and string it up in their classroom so they would create their own chili Ristra. One of the cool things about this year is we were able to kick off our event with a visit from USDA Undersecretary Jenny Moffitt. And she was holding or having an announcement about the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program, which funded this project. And so we held a big event with our Teacher of the Year there in the center is Susan Irwin, and then some of her students, and then that's our Secretary of Agriculture and the principal of the school. But that was a really great way to spotlight agriculture in the classroom on a national stage, and with USDA, which is such a close partner with the National Agriculture in the Classroom organization, and really a great way for other folks within the industry to see our program in action, because we read the book, we did the tasting, and actually some of Susan's students stood up and did a little testimonial about what they do in their classroom. You want to order copies of this book, you can do so through connectmedia.com. That's McCall, and she would love to share this book elsewhere. Okay, second trivia question. So get your phone, scan the QR code. Give you 1 second. In 2023, where did Colorado rank in market lamb and sheep production in the United States? So I'll give you just a hot second to answer that question. Awesome. We had 25 from the last one, so you can hop on and answer this one, and we'll pick a winner. Everyone got it? The answer is second in sheep and lamb production and fourth in wool production. So pretty important to our state. So I'm going to introduce you to our second book. It's called The Woolly Way, Papu and the Story of Lantern Ridge. And this book is written, we have a second publishing team. So we actually now have 2 publishing teams. This is written by Rachel Gable, who is actually a former English teacher. She is an author. She is an ag journalist. If anyone in the West knows of the Fence Post magazine, she is the assistant editor of that. And then Liz Munster-Teager, who's the redhead there, is our illustrator. And I'm going to pull up those book slides, and we won't read it, but I want to walk you through it so you can kind of see what it's like. And our partners, there is a vocabulary for all of the books. And then because this was set in the forest, we included just the Forest Service and where our forests are in Colorado. So this particular book is set in the White River Forest, and the family is from Meeker. So this is also kind of a historical timeline of grazing sheep and how sheep are herded from sort of the plains or the valleys on the western slope of Colorado, how they're moved up to the mountains during the springtime or during the summer to graze, and then how they then make their trail back down to Meeker to be grazed. And we did include the tree carvings in it because it's a historical thing. And in the back, I'll show you. We do say that tree carvings is currently illegal, and it's not something you do, but it is part of the history of the book. So this is a Greek family, and it's his so first it's the grandfather, and then it's the son that comes up with the sheep. And then they always stop in the same place and hang a lantern out in a tree to let the predators know, that there's no easy meal here. And then they make their way back down. So Liz uses real life illustrations or real life photos to create these beautiful illustrations. And we talk a little bit about wool. And like these moving days are big days in the Western Slope, and people turn out to see the sheep move through it. But then we're now with the young boy who's now with the father, moving those sheep up and still hanging the lantern. And the old lantern from the grandpa was left, the grandpa was left in the tree. He couldn't find it the next morning, so and that's how it became Lantern Ridge, is what they started calling it. But yeah, and then we include the aspen carvings and a little bit about grazing on public lands. That's a kind of a big issue in the West, and what to do and what not to do if you come across livestock grazing on public lands. And then this is actually one of the Theos boys, and a real photo of what they do and how they move their sheep. So we'll flip back to this. So for this project, they received a copy of the wool samples kit from the Ag Classroom store. We sent one sample per class, of course, one copy of the book. We also partnered with the Forest Service, and we had Forest Service individuals from across the state cutting tree cookies for us. And then Lucy, our staff person, cut a bunch of them herself as well. And so just those little cross sections of the tree, I think we sent one cookie for every 4 to 5 students, and then one for the tree teacher as well. It was just too much to be able to send one tree cookie for each student. And then we sent some sandpaper so they could sand it off and see those rings really well. And Project Learning Tree let us use their tree cookie lesson. So we had that printed off and included with it, as well as some other Forest Service and Project Learning Tree resources, and then different activities, a vocabulary activity. The Woolly Senses was one we developed to use with that wool kit, so they could compare the 2 different types of wool that are provided in that kit. We did a creative contest where they could either draw a picture, create a poem, or write an opinion piece about why Colorado public lands are important. And we had a good number of entries for that. And then that wool and sheep activity book that you see there in the middle of the image is something that we produce in Colorado for that upper elementary range. And so we provided one copy of that in the kit. And they could order more, or make copies as they need to. Okay. Next trivia question. Give you a second to log in and scan that. We lost a few. We had 26 in the first and 21 in the second. So I want to make sure we give everyone a chance to participate in the trivia question. So the question is, true or false? Colorado ranked 5th in peach production in the United States in 2023. True or false? Have enough time? So the answer is true. It's a little microclimate. We have a lot of microclimates in Colorado that's located in a valley where they produce a lot of stone fruit and wine grapes, and they utilize like every little bit of land to grow these peaches or whatever their orchard and the vines, and truly, like, they don't have lawns. It's just their orchard or their vines. So it's a pretty cool place to visit. So this is the sweetest treat. It is the story of Mrs. Maxine Lundgren Clark Allen. And the only reason I could say that fast was because I was reading it, because I always have to think about what order her names are in. So I'm going to show you this, the pages of this book. And as you go through it, I want you to kind of pay attention to the illustrations and see if you see, just pay attention to the illustrations. So this was also a specialty crop block grant project. This was actually our first specialty crop block grant. And so we had to do the pre and post questions to be able to capture that data to then report back for the specialty crop block program. So have you ever eaten peaches? Is an important crop, sort of thing. And so then as we get to the book, so Maxine was a very impressive lady who only passed away just recently in her 90s. And she grew up in Grenada, Colorado, near the internment camp, the Japanese internment camp, and farmed alongside. She would see the internees or the prisoners there that were harvesting sugar beets. And she and her mother would bake cookies and bring them to them in the field. And she learned the importance of kindness. So that's really where this book, kind of the theme of the book is about kindness, and how kindness is the sweetest treat. But then she moved to, her family moved to the Palisade region, and she married into the Clark family. Clark Family Orchards is a big orchard in Colorado. And she ran the packing shed there. And again, they worked with, at that time they used prisoners of war as farm labor. And, they came from all over Germany and Hispanic accents and that whole works. But again, just that, kindness part of it, that kindness is the sweetest treat of all. And kind of told through this young girl's eyes. And Maxine would, she would hem the pants of the workers they'd hop up on a little peach box and she would hem their pants, and in return, the workers would, cut her lawn or care for her home or outside of her home, that sort of thing. So that kindness was repaid. She was also a strong advocate for farm labor, and we'll get to that here in a second, but would speak around travel the US, talk about the importance of farm labor. And here's where that is. But yeah, that's that book. So if you notice through the book on the color sides of the pages, it's really the life cycle of the peach, which I think is really neat. Not something that our illustrator did. Our illustrator puts in a lot of these little, we call them Easter eggs of different things. And it's just kind of a really cool story. And again, it's usable anywhere, really. So a little bit about peaches in Colorado, and then the vocabulary, a little more about Maxine and her life. All right, so flipping back to this slideshow. So this was our first time of morphing this project into a kit. When we submitted the specialty crop block grant, we submitted it for $10,000. They came back to us and said, hey, we want to double your grant. They had more money in their whole grant pool, but it wasn't enough to fund another project. And then they liked our project so much that they wanted to either have us reach more students or add a tasting experience. And if you think about when peaches are harvested, they're harvested in the fall, kind of early harvest has started already, continuing through September and October. We do our literacy project in the spring, starting generally in the middle of February. So how do you make peaches work with that? We were able to work with a mobile juicing company and a local grower to produce our own 100% Colorado peach juice. It had our label on it, had these 54-ounce bladders, essentially like, you know, if you buy wine in a box, that's pretty much what they were. And then each student got to sample a 2-ounce serving of Colorado peach juice. And then credit to Lucy, she put a great amount of time into some of the activities that really relate to history and worked with the Historical Society of Palisade to kind of gather some of that information. So information about prisoners of war and what that all looked like in Colorado. And there's just a lot of great resources that are all available on our website on that literacy project page. You just scroll down to the bottom and click on the appropriate book, and it'll bring up, for this one, it's going to bring up a link to a Google folder where they're all in it, because there's about 64 pages there. Okay, we'll keep going. One more trivia question. Question is, what is Colorado's second most valuable economic industry? Give you a second to log into that chat form. Great, thank you all for playing along. I appreciate it. Give me a second. And the answer is agriculture. It's second to manufacturing. So this leads into our Still Good book, The Faces of Family Agriculture. We'll quickly walk through this one as well. So this is told through the eyes of a little boy who finds his grandpa's photo album from like the 1950s and looks at the photos in it, and then the grandpa is telling the little boy about these stories. So here's a dairy cow that they're milking by hand, an old tractor, Hereford steer at the Denver stockyards, because that's where cattle were sold back in that day, was at the Denver stockyards. A produce stand, irrigation, water and irrigation are big in Colorado. Sheep grazing again, having lamb chops for Easter, aerial application or airplane application, and what that looked like back then. And so then this boy gets this idea of sending letters to farmers and ranchers today and having them send him new photos to update the photo album. So as they go through, so then he's got you know, a robotic dairy and what that looks like. And then, you know, farm equipment today versus the old tractor of before, selling cattle in a sale barn versus at the Denver stockyards, a current produce stand, and that familiar sheep photo. And then basically what the premise of the book is that even though agriculture has changed, it is still good. That's really what it's about, that it may be different, but agriculture is still good. Okay. Awesome. We are rolling through. So Rachel has a couple other books. She has Kindergarten Rancher, which was her first book. And then she has a follow-up to that, which is Kindergarten Cowman. These are both great books. Kindergarten Rancher, I think, is also on the curriculum matrix, and I just haven't had the time to get submit our other books to get them up there yet. And then you can follow Rachel on social media. I don't know if anyone does, but she writes these things called cow bios, and it started a couple of years ago, and it's a photo of a cow, and then she writes these quirky little people, makes up these stories about these cows and really trying to bridge that urban rural divide, and you know, stories that we can all relate to, whether you're you know, a farmer or rancher, or you're in the city or wherever, but they're really pretty cool books. So one more trivia question. We roll through. Okay. What is Colorado's leading agriculture product? Give you a second to answer that. And you'll get one of Rachel's other books for this question. Awesome. All right, that answer is beef cattle, which leads us into our 2025 project, which is called Cattle, Corn, and Courage, the story of Dr. John Matsushima. And again, if you follow us on Facebook, this has been our focus this summer. And this is a project that has turned into a monster because people have become involved, have heard what we're doing, and heard the impact that we make through this literacy project and want to be involved. So for this project next year, we will be doing 2 kits, separate kits, an elementary kit for pre-K through 5th grade, and then a middle high school kit for 6th through 12. And Dr. Matsushima is currently 103 years old. He is still sharp as a tack. And actually, I just saw him on Tuesday, where we kind of unveiled part of this project. He is the son of Japanese immigrants and grew up in Colorado, went to Colorado State, but has a true love and passion for feeding cattle. And any of the major cattle feeding inventions can be attributed to him. The biggest one is steam flaked corn, which increases the digestibility and usability of corn, of the corn kernel, from 6 to 10%. He also invented the feed truck and just a ton of other inventions in just anything related to feeding cattle. And we are doing, I don't think I have time to show this video. Actually, I'm going to show you just the first clip.
Good food plus good water equals long life.
I think the thing that I would say impressed me the most about Dr. Matsushima is that he has a very inquisitive mind, and not only does he lecture, but he also is there learning from you and learning about you. And I think that easygoing kind of, conversational attitude enhanced my learning experience.
Dr. Matsushima.
So I'll stop that. Luke Lind there is the CEO of Five Rivers Cattle Feeding, which is the largest cattle feeder in the world. And then this is Randy Block from Cattle Facts. But we are doing 2 videos as part of this. And one of our board members said, hey, Dr. Matsushima is 103 years old and may not be with us very long. So although he does plan to make visits, him and his daughter plan to make classroom visits in the spring. So we'll see. But we brought in different. So he kept a record of all of his students in a scrapbook. He has their name, what class they took, and their grade. And it reads like a who's who of agriculture and a who's who of cattle feeding. So we brought in some of these from some of his former students, and we'll have a 5 to 7 minute Q&A or sort of elementary version video. And then we have this longer 30 to 40 minute documentary style video that will be part of the kit and the part of the middle and high school classes. And then the elementary, they're going to get the book, they're going to get samples of dried feed corn or ear corn and steam flaked corn. We're also purchasing 40,000 beef sticks from the Beef Sticks for Backpack program so that each student will have a beef tasting experience, the shorter version, another video field trip with History Colorado, and additional resources. Then with the middle and high school, we are creating an agriculture careers magazine that will have the higher level story of Dr. Matsushima, as well as stories of individuals that work in various sectors of agriculture and across the board, and different jobs that you may or may not think about. But it'll be really targeted towards that careers and exposing students to different careers in in agriculture. And teachers can still request a guest reader, or part of linking in the middle and high school classes was so that they could get the background of the story and hear the importance of Dr. Matsushima. But then hopefully they will complete the program with their elementary students, because we're looking to target 50,000 students. And as we wrap up here on time, Potatoes is our next book. And then for 2026, and these are some of the other topics that I have. I do have one more quick trivia question, and this one will get Rachel's Cow Bios book, which is super fabulous. So if you want to do this one super quick, like the question is, how many students and teachers are actively engaged in Colorado agriculture and classroom programs and resources annually? I'll let you answer that one. But Rachel's books you can order from rachelgable.com or from Amazon. And then the Pueblo Chili book and then the potato book will be done by the Connect Publishing. And you can order those from connectmedia.com. I want a chance to enter the trivia. It's 100,000 was the answer. So here again, the link to the dashboard, which will show you the Google Slides. So you have links to all of that, plus the books, and you can go to our website to get the resources. If you'd like to receive our e-newsletter, there's a QR code to sign up for that. And that's what I've got, a whirlwind of 4 books and 5 preview of 1 in 45 minutes, Kevin.
You did it. You did it. And, you know, we started with Jacqueline Briggs Martin, and she talked about the importance of connecting people and food and agriculture. And that's exactly what you're doing. So kudos to what you've got going on. Some fascinating folks that you've talked about. I love the carvings and the history. I didn't know if you were going to talk about this year's book, but I've been following you on social media. Really excited to see that and the preview of your video and talking about beef and what's going on. I knew it had to be coming at some point in time after seeing your others, and looking forward to what you've got ahead. So with that, folks, those of you who've been with us, thank you so much for joining us. Jennifer, thank you for sharing what's gone on in Colorado, both in Utah and here. With that, that brings us to an end of our 2024 Virtual National Agriculture in the Classroom Conference, sponsored by NAITCO. That's the National Ag in the Classroom organization, as well as the fine folks at BASF and the CHS Foundation. With that, check your emails. There were some questions. You will get a certificate of attendance that you can share with your local board that you attended this. I'm sure there'll be a reflection question or something like that. And also that will come with an evaluation. Let us know what you think. Really look forward to those evaluations. And with that, again, thanks to our sponsors at BASF and CHS Foundation, of course, National Agriculture in the Classroom. The class kits available to Colorado teachers. Yeah, I'm going to say yeah, Jennifer, because you'll be sending them all over the place. Check with your local state, but you can rip these off and duplicate them. She just gave you the recipe for it all. So you buy the book and you get your stuff. Yeah.
We have sent a few of them out to other teachers. So if you're really nice and send me an email and are really nice, we might send them out to you as well. We aren't going to be able to cover the whole state, but you'll be able to get the book yourselves, and you can duplicate this easy enough in your own classrooms. The same with all 4 of them.
Exactly. And just shipping, like you said, the material for sheep came from the NATCO store. Just you couldn't even get your chili peppers shipped across the state, let alone across the country. So all great stuff that you can rip off and duplicate from Colorado. Jennifer has provided that for you. All right. I'm going to save you some money there, Jennifer, because, you know, yes. We're going to take care of Colorado folks first. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But she again has shared those with it. So again, thank you to Jennifer. Thank you to all of our presenters, and thanks to the teachers who joined us. Again, we thank our sponsors at BASF and CHS Foundation. My name's Kevin Darty. I'm with the National Ag in the Classroom program, and we hope to see you. We hope to see you on Facebook and following up with this throughout the school year. And we wish you a great school year. Thanks a bunch.